Pop, what's going on, man?
Is it that bad that I can't even get a little commander's gear on this?
Oh, I took it off. I took it off. I took it off myself. I took it off my dog. I said, this is not happening today. There's no,
All the
look,
posters
look,
off the wall.
if the 22 men on defense play like they don't want to wear the damn jersey, why should I? Why should
22?
I? The rotation. The rotation of the defensive players out of the 53, about 22 of them play defense. If those 20 to 22 guys are out there like they don't want to wear the jersey, then why should I put the jersey? That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I was waiting for you to ask me that question. This defense sucks. This is a serious problem. We lost 27-34 today.
Easy
17
now,
and a
son.
half. Not as close as the score is the correct note there from Pop. There is a lot to unpack here. We fall back to 2-2. We have the Chargers next week. Pop and I will be there. At this rate, if they keep winding me up like this, I might come all the way down from the 500 section and make a tackle myself. Because this is just
I'd like to see that.
really disappointing. Well, I won't.
I think they'll bounce you into the 200.
It'll be a broken tackle. If I can get past security, which I can't.
Fast forward to us in the emergency room and a broken collarbone.
Oh god, that's best. Broken collarbone's best case scenario. Yeah, this is pathetic. I mean, look, you got anything you want to start with, Pop, or should I just run through the bullets?
No, don't. Let's react. That's part of it. It's what the people
react.
See.
You give me your reaction now.
I mean, it was a game. I said, I wrote not as close to the score. I never felt like we had a chance, honestly. Like, we couldn't stop them. We couldn't finish drives. Matt Gay had a good game. I guess if you want to draw one silver lining out of this, the kicker kicked well. But, it was any time that we pulled a little close within a score, they scored. They answered. Or we get a turnover, they get a turnover. It's just one of those situations where I never felt like, we had a shot. And, we definitely missed 5. We definitely missed 17. But I also feel like, we're recording this a couple hours after the game's over. So we've had a chance I thought we had a chance for cooler heads. I've got a cooler head. I was pretty upset. I was pretty much like Dominic right after the game.
I've got no reason to be
But there's an arrogance, and Dan Quinn talked about it in his presser, right? Basically saying he didn't like the energy level to start the game. There's an arrogance about this team. I don't know whether it's from last year, the 12 wins, and then think they can carry over. I think they can just show up and win games. And this is the NFL. It's a week-to-week league. Cleveland beats the Packers last week. You can't just show up and win games. And we made, Penix has a career day. I didn't even realize Bijan Robinson had his most total yards. A lot of it in receiving, of his career. So you can't just show up. You've got to bring energy. And honestly, we'll get into it. I thought the coaching was bad. Right? Because formula we used to win last year was to control the ball, have long drives, control the ball. And even though the statistical guys are going to point to the statistic and say it was pretty balanced run pass, there were too many first downs that we tried to get tricky, or we didn't run the ball, or we gained 2 or 3 yards on a first down, second down, we dropped Mariota back. Run the damn ball. They were averaging 8-9 yards a carry at one point.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the lack of run game to start the game is maddening. And we saw it last week. We saw it again today. We see it every week. The NFL is not the air raid 40 pass attempts for your quarterback NFL that it was a few years ago. The NFL is changing. Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley. The best teams have these dynamic running backs that they are force-feeding carries, and then they are working play action and read option off of that. If you are not committed to running the ball, defenses do not have to respect. And I don't care. I do not care. I've seen videos about it. I do not care what the advanced analytics say about, oh, you don't actually have to run the ball to establish play action. I don't care what they say about that. You have to run the ball to establish some kind of balance. There's no balance right now offensively. But frankly, we can have a talk about the offense. If you told me that with no Jaden Daniels, with no Terry McLaurin, with no Noah Brown, with no Austin Eckler, this offense was going to go out there with Chris Paul at right guard and Andrew Wiley at right guard and Chris Paul at left guard, this offense was going to go out there and score 27 points today. I would have said surely that has to be enough against the Atlanta Falcons, who scored 0 against the Carolina Panthers, who got hung 42 points on them by Drake May today. I would have said that surely has to be enough 27 points. Even 24 because we got the garbage time field goal, which was a weird decision, but irrelevant. The game was over at that point. But even with 24 points, I would have said, surely that must be enough. And surely you can't be serious. Don't call me Shirley. This defense surely stinks. This defense was awful. It was to the point where like we scored that touchdown to Debo, and I go, all right, 1-score game, and everybody in the room kind of sits up a little bit straighter, and I look at them, and I kind of sit up straighter too. I'm like, all right, we haven't been able to stop him so far, but we do have to get a stop in order to get back in this thing. And it's just we bring it to a 7-point game with 8 minutes and 42 seconds left in the fourth quarter. We don't get the ball again until we're down 10 with less than 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter and no timeouts. That's what
it
the
starts
defense
with the
brought
opening drive, right? And I agree with
Yep.
you. Like 27 points should be enough. But I don't think you talk about complementary football. This defense isn't good enough for us to go 3 and out on offense and just not sustain any type of drives early. And that first drive sets the tone. They run the end around to Debo. That's fine. There's no reason that you can't run the ball the second play
Again,
rather
yes.
than take a sack, right?
Yes.
It's just like, and then why not stay a little bit more conventional and just start with a couple of runs and get things going, get your linemen running downhill. It was, and then I think on defense, my issue with the coaching was rushing 4 and playing zone. Like we didn't pressure Penix. Here's a
All
guy that we
game.
know that is prone to mistakes, right? And there was nothing we did. And obviously we don't have a good 4-man pass rush. We don't.
Yeah.
So, they're pretty good against the run. They've been consistently pretty good against the run. I think it speaks to the interior of that defensive line being pretty good. But I feel like there's just a level of arrogance that they feel like the talent level on this team is higher than it actually is. And we coach that way. And, Dan Quinn was upset that they didn't bring energy. He said the 2 road games, they didn't bring energy on the road and that he felt like the energy level is very different at home. Figure it out, man. Figure out a light a fire. Bench a couple other guys.
Philadelphia's 4-0. You're going to be playing games on the road in the playoffs, especially at this pace. If you even make it there, because guess what? You've got another, 10 games on the road for the rest of the season? I'm too angry to do math. You've got plenty more games on the road. If you can't get energy going on the road, you're going to win 7 games this year because, that's atrocious. And defensively, schematically, is a nightmare. And I've had my reservations about what's going on there for a while now. I am at the point now, I'm not going to quite start going down the road that people online are going down, but I'm not going to defend it either. Honestly, it's getting to a point where what have you seen?
Some of that got to rest on Dan Quinn.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of it
defensive head coach.
Well.
We can talk about Joe Witt and being unhappy with him. I kind of put I'm not gonna, Dan doesn't call plays, and I think that Cliff Cliff isn't any different than most offensive coordinators. They just want to throw the ball. They all want to throw the ball. The majority of them, except for the one guy that used to be the OC for the Ravens, whose name I'm forgetting, who all he wanted to do was run it. But,
Greg Roman.
Yeah, Roman. They just want to they just want to throw the ball. and they get itchy. You got a backup quarterback in there, as good as Marcus Mariota, I always want to call him Martin, plays, he's still the backup. And, he's not going to make plays at the level, make something out of nothing at the level that Jaden can do when he's healthy.
He's not going to
So,
make something out of nothing at the level that Bill Krosky Merritt does every single time he touches the football. It's maddening. I feel like I'm being
or even Chris
gaslit.
Rodriguez.
Yeah. I feel like the two of them, and McNichols breaks one for 60 yards last week. It's like I feel like I'm being gaslit by Cliff Kingsbury right now because every time we run the football, it's successful. It's not like running the football is not working. Last year you abandoned the run because Brian Robinson was running into the back of Nick Allegretti and falling over after a yard and a half. You traded Brian Robinson because you felt so good about the running backs you have in your running back room. I'm starting to think you traded Brian Robinson because you decided we're just not going to run the football this year. And you know what? When you're down 10 in the second quarter, you don't need to give up on the run. When you're down 10 at the beginning of the third quarter, you don't need to give up on the run. You don't need to give up on the run until there's 5 minutes left in the fourth
No,
quarter and
and,
you're down two
and
scores.
again, context matters. You're getting big chunks on the ground. You're averaging, at one point I looked, I'm sure it ended up less than that, but at one point I looked, they were averaging 8-9 yards a carry. Like, what are you doing?
Bill
Keep
had
feeding
7
them.
carries. Bill had 7 carries for
And
47
by the
yards.
way, that gets your defense off the field, right? If you look at the number of plays the Falcons ran in that first half versus the number of plays we, right? That was a big problem, and it's because we didn't sustain any drives. So
And
anyway, I
I'm
mean, I
watching.
think that, I think that, I think we are a better team than what we showed today. Obviously, we're a better team when we got our players out there. We're going to get Cosme back maybe next week, which will be a big boost. Maybe not quite that fast, but he's eligible to come back next week. I don't know how much longer Terry's out. Pre-game, they seem to indicate that Jaden was pretty much, unless something goes wrong, seemed pretty strongly that he was going to play next week. They got to stop messing around with that.
Yeah, he
Honestly,
might have put a foot through the wall watching the team today.
I fully agree that the decision that they made to not play him, but at this point, if he's close or actually ready, he's just got to play. And it's just we can't be afraid of him getting hurt. He's the reason we got 12 wins last year. And
Yeah,
because
100%.
a lot of these flaws existed last year with the defense.
That's
right?
what I said. That's what I said
They
watching
can
the
do
game
okay
today.
in spurts. They cannot be on the field for the majority of the game. They just can't. They're not good enough.
I mean, did they get off the field on third down today? Did we see a punt?
It was that
Like
stat
two?
wasn't as bad as I actually thought. It was like 6 of 10, or it wasn't as bad as I thought it
Didn't
should
get a
be.
single
Didn't
one
feel
when it
like it.
mattered. Didn't get a
Yeah,
single one when it mattered. Let me tell you
no.
that
They
much.
only punted twice.
Yeah. Is it technically a third down stop if they kick a field goal or if they get
I
it and
mean,
go for it on fourth
6 of
down?
12. Like it seemed a lot worse than that. I don't know
Yeah,
how they
I
go
don't
6 of
know.
12. I guess they kick in field goals, but I don't know how they go 6 of 12 on third down. I guess they converted one fourth down and must have kicked field goals on the rest. I don't know.
It was bad, man. It was bad. And it was like, it's in a situation where like it was 4th and 2. We had that stop before the half where they ended up punting it, and then Jalen Lane dropped the ball, which you hate to see happen twice today. And I'm sitting there, it's 4th and 2, and I'm praying the entire commercial break. I'm like, please punt, please punt, please punt, because I have no confidence in a 2-yard stop, and I want to get the ball back. And that's for me. That is another. This is my last thing, and I'm glad I remembered it because I really want to highlight this. We were so good. That middle 8, the last 4 minutes of the second quarter and the first 4 minutes of the third quarter is the most important stretch of a football game. If you play that time right, you can get an extra possession, you can get back-to-back possessions. And last year, that stretch, that was the time in the games where we blew teams out. That was the time that we put them away. And in the games where we had to claw our way back. That was the time that we started to get back. How many times did you watch this team last year go down and get a quick three with 18 seconds left on the clock? Go down and get seven with 2 minutes and then get the ball back and then go down and score seven to start the second half. It happened like clockwork last year. You could count on it. 10 points, 14 points, at a minimum, 7 points coming back of when you had that stretch, if you got to defer, right? Every time. This year, that has been atrocious. You saw it against, was it Green Bay or was it against New York, where you completely ran down the clock with no timeouts? I think it was against Green Bay in the first half, and then they did not score when they got the ball back. And then you saw it again here where you're not calling timeouts, you're going into complete avoid disaster playbook. You don't get to say in the press conferences, Marcus Mariota is a starting quarterback in our mind, and we feel like we have two starters. And then when your starting quarterback has the opportunity to execute a 2-minute drill with 3 timeouts, completely go into a shell and quit. That's what you did. You quit to end the half, down 10 points. You had the chance to go up. You could have scored a touchdown and then you could have scored another touchdown. Instead, you quit and then you land yourself in 1st and 30 after Luke McCaffrey brings the ball back to the 60-yard line. You land yourself in 1st and 30 and you only get 3 points out of that middle eight. That is how you lose football games right there. It's just poor, poor.
Well,
poor
it's at the end of the day, like you tweeted it right. We depended a lot on five being Superman last year in order to go on the run that we went on. I think five has a lot to do with those 4-minute drills that we were able to run if very effectively. But what gives me hope and what gives me faith is that I do feel like this offensive line is better, especially with Cosby back. I really like what we've got at running back. Right, Debo is the man. You're seeing better things out of Jalen Lane and especially Luke McCaffrey is starting to give you something out there. We can get Jaden back. We can get Terry back. I really believe this offense will begin to cook. They've got to be healthy. If the injury bug keeps happening, then all bets are off. But I do believe this offense can start to cook. And I think the complementary football of sustaining drives, getting first downs, getting chunks, keeping that defense off the field, keeping them fresher will help a lot too. They were on the field 10 minutes more than we were. They ran 15 more plays than we did, something like that, 14 or 15. You're not going to win. And Atlanta was the better team. They were the better team at the line of scrimmage. And the 2 games we lost at the line of scrimmage. And the 2 games we won at the line of scrimmage. And, so we'll see. I mean, you just got to go week to week. I don't know what to think at this point about this team. I really don't.
My thought on this team, very quickly, last thing, and then we do our awards and then we go home, is very shortly, I'm really disappointed right now because I was hoping that this was not going to be a 500 football team unless Jaden Daniels puts on the Superman cape. And this far into the season, to me, and it's only September, you got out of it 2-2. You didn't take the preseason or training camp very seriously for what people say, which I don't know I think is revisionist history, but whatever. At the end of the day, this team, to reach the level of success it reached last year, Jaden's got to play at an MVP level. That's it. It's not right. It's not fair to him. It's not where we should be at after an off season. But right now, I think the only way this team gets back to where it was last year is Jaden's going to have to be Superman again. And I think he can be.
I'm not really sure that that's 100% true, but I think that they gotta, maybe this is good in a way because they've got to just get humbled. The difference last year was that we were the underdog. Nobody thought we could go on the run that we did. And we had this attitude of, it was just a different approach to the game. We knew we had to control the ball. We knew we had to keep our defense off the field. We're just playing, all this preseason talk, and that's why I didn't like it at the time, that we were a Super Bowl contender. We were not. This is a rebuild. We're in the middle of a rebuild, and we're pretty fortunate in the middle of a rebuild that we are a winning football team. And I hate the fact that at least through 4 games, and it's only 4 games, long way to go, that it's, making all the other team's fans who are just, they they're going to come back to the mean. It was fluky. It was this. It was that.
Bored.
Look right. And, but it's early. This was a bad loss. It's tough now. You got to go on the road all the way across country to play a
Yeah.
really good team that just got upset. So that's not a great situation. But I do kind of feel like, this, it was a bit of a trap game. We talked about it in the pregame. They just, you can't go in overconfident in these situations. They get wiped out 30-0 in a fluky week for them because they're a better team than that. And, we win big against the Raiders team that was on a short week. It's
Sucks.
probably a lot better than not saying they're very good, but it was probably a lot better than what they even came out and showed against us. And, you just start to believe the press clippings and the hype. And, yeah, Mariota, I'm not going to put it on him. I thought that overall, like you said, he did enough to get a win if we had any kind of defense. But it is what it
Yeah, I
is.
don't know. I mean, he missed a few throws, but like I said, like if you look at the score, 27 points, you would like that to be enough.
In this
Um,
offense, the quarterback's going to have to make plays because Cliff Kingsbury is not going to stick with the run. He's
no.
just not going to do it. And he's not the only offensive coordinator that's like that, but he just won't do it.
Well, look at the ones that are most successful over time and look at what they do. I mean, Sean McVay is going to run until Kyron Williams' legs fall off. He's going to put them back on, and then they're going to keep running again. The best offensive coordinators in the league are running the football and build everything off of that. And it's been that way since the dawn of time. So, and by the way, when this offense was at its best early in the season last year, that's what we were doing really well too. So it's,
It's 6.7 yards a carry good.
I don't know. Would you rather be in 2nd and 12 or 2nd and 3, Pop? It's a preference thing, truly. I mean, when you look at the analytics, 2nd and 12, the DBs are going to drop back. Oh, Jesus. Maybe you'd rather be in 2nd and 12 against our team. That's for
Let's talk.
certain.
Let's do a speed awards round and let's talk about what's going on in the rest of the league so far.
I don't know. This is sickening to me. This awards thing. Pop wants to give a shout out to.
I'll host the awards.
Go
How
ahead.
about
Pop's
that?
gonna.
You're
Pop's gonna host the
disgusted by it.
awards. I
I'll
can't
host the
get
awards.
by. Yeah.
I thought there were some guys that deserved at least a little bit of a shout out. Let's say that. Matt Gay goes 4 for 4. He's our Sauce Award winner.
That
That's
was
a
nice
little
to see.
right, and that's a little bit of a slight to the team when your kicker gets the award. Right? So there's a little bit of method to Pop's madness here. So in Sauce Award as your kicker, not a good situation, but he was solid today. I never thought we should panic in that situation. You got to stick with kickers. They're going to miss kicks every once in a while. Glad to see a big 52-yarder, which was big. He kind of kept us in the game, to be honest, because we weren't converting 7 points, sorry. And then on the helmet stickers, Chris Rodriguez, I thought the run game in general, you could have gone Chris and Bill, but Chris, leads the team with 7 carries, 59 yards. I think that running game is something that we need to just lean on more and more. Luke McCaffrey contributing. I mean, I had to look at this twice. He had 199 yards of kick return yards and 2 catches for 21 yards, gets that touchdown pass. So nice to see Luke contributing. I'm glad that took Debo off the kick team, honestly. And then Debo Samuel, I thought was excellent. 6 catches for 72 yards, had a big 4th down conversion. He had a few carries, didn't do a lot on
Couple
the ground.
runs.
3 for 9 yards, and I don't know if you want to chime in anything there or you want to get right to the kick cots.
I mean, when I do the math on Rodriguez and Bill collectively averaging 7.5 yards per carry, that is just. I mean, Cliff is acting like he's got the 85 Bears on the other side of the football. I mean, what's the best thing you can do to help out a bad defense is run the football. Best thing you can do.
Yeah,
Whatever. Um,
you can do it.
yeah, that segues us right in our kick hots. Yeah, it's the defense, man. It's terrible. 34 points after Atlanta gets shut out last week. If you told me we were gonna lose this game, I honestly would have been okay with it. I'm okay with the fact that we lost this game, given that you have no Jaden Daniels, no Terry McLaurin, no Noah Brown, no John Bates. Like, you've got the amount of injuries that you have. I'm okay with the fact that we lost the game. If you told me we lost 21-18, we lost 14-3, with the offense just couldn't do anything without its playmakers. Fine. Fine. I'm cool with that. 34 points. This is the most points the Atlanta Falcons are going to score this year. Book it. 34 points to the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix, I don't know if that got highlighted, was 20 for 26 for 313 yards. These are 1
Career day.
p.m. on a Saturday Kirk Cousins numbers. These are like prime. This is a quarterback balling out against this defense. Sanders still was awful. Amos was not as good as we've seen him be. Lattimore was awful. Quan was a
No
mess.
pressure,
The whole
though. I mean,
secondary was terrible. There's no pressure.
there's no
Bobby
pressure.
Wagner is one-on-one against Bijan Robinson, against the top 3 most dynamic player in the league. Where is Kane Medrano? Where is Jordan McGee? You've got all these fast young linebackers that you spend all offseason drooling about. And then when it comes down to it, who's in? Bobby Wagner, who is probably the best player available, yes. But matched up in the flat against Bijan Robinson, Bijan is still running. He's still running in that matchup. It's just a bad matchup. It's bad schematics. They've run this match scheme that nobody knows the principles of. How many times before the game did you see this right before the snap? All game. They have no idea where they're supposed to be, and it looks like it. It's sickening. And they're talking about
Well,
communication.
I actually felt like the defense was pretty good up until this game. I don't know what happened today. I don't understand, just like I don't understand, and maybe they can't generate pressure. I don't know. But I don't understand why you're not rushing 5 more often. I mean, what that Penix will do, he's not the most accurate of passers in the world. If you pressure him, when he's pressured, if you pressure him, you can get him, force him into making mistakes. And they just seemed uninterested in doing that. And I
Second and
don't know
12.
what I don't know what it is. Maybe, like you said, maybe it's analytics. Maybe they watch film. Maybe they watch other teams have success doing certain things, and they feel like, oh, we can do the same thing, and he will, he won't play well. But I mean, he looked like as good a quarterback that there is in the league today.
Second and 12. Darnell Mooney is on the bench. Can you name the third receiver for the Atlanta Falcons? I can't. Darnell Mooney is on the bench. You rush 4. Send 6. Send 6 at Penix on second and 12. Jam London on the line of scrimmage. They're getting free releases off the line of scrimmage because nobody's pressing, because Lattimore's playing 15 yards off the ball. It's atrocious. It's atrocious. There's that screen grab on like 3rd and 2 of like there's nobody within 3 yards of a wide receiver. Um, it's really bad. Yeah, you're not sending any pressure. You're just rushing 4. Maybe that worked against the Las Vegas Raiders, who 3 of those 5 offensive linemen are not going to be in the league in the next 3 years. Maybe it worked against them, but you see it's not working. You see you're not getting pressure. You see Penix is getting comfortable. You have to speed him up. You have to get after him, and you just don't. What were the Chiefs doing to Lamar? We were just watching that game. What were they doing? They were sending 6. They were sending 5. Lamar snaps the ball. Both linebackers run at him. That's what Spags is famous for, is blitzing. You have to blitz. You have to blitz. If you don't have an absolutely elite defensive line, which we don't, and by the way, Javonte Jean-Baptiste just tore his pec. So we really don't now. You got to blitz. You got to send more than 4.
That's all right. Von Miller's gonna somehow come into the fountain of youth. No, I mean, I totally agree. I don't get why we're not being more aggressive with pressure.
Aggressive, period.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Like I think you could talk a lot about brotherhood. You could talk a lot about you know a great culture, which I believe all those things are true. At some point, you also got to coach football. I'll just say that.
Yep. And you
So
know what? Like I said, this closing thoughts, I tweeted it. You can't blame missed tackles and miscommunications in one game on a defensive coordinator or on a head coach. However, we have been talking about missed tackles and miscommunications in the secondary for 2 years. At a certain point, it's your responsibility to make sure those things are not happening.
100%.
So
And
that's my
That's
closing
why
thoughts.
I'm less on Joe Witt's case. Because the head coach is a defensive genius. So tell him what you want him to do, get it in there, and get it done.
Yep.
So
Anyways, let's go around the NFL. Let's wrap it up. This game sucked. You could sit here and yell about it for the rest of the day if you want to. It's very disappointing. But going around the NFL here, early games. Jackson Dart came out, got his first start, beat the Chargers at home, 21-18. They're now one
Chargers
and
are beatable.
three. We could get the Chargers with 5 back. Not if this
Chargers are
defense
beatable.
plays the way they did today, but I don't think you can beat anybody if the defense plays that way. But if the defense can get back to more what we've seen, we could definitely get them. Chargers are now 1-3, or the Giants are now 1-3. Chargers now 3-1. Eagles do as they do, just find a way to win. They hang on 31-23 to beat the Bucks and remain undefeated. They are last year's Kansas City Chiefs reincarnated. That's the Eagles.
They were in control of that game. Bucks made a
Finding,
run late. Bucks made a run late, but let's be
yeah,
real. They were in
Baker's
control of
hurt,
that game.
but they're
Yeah.
finding ways to win and hang on, even when things get interesting. So good on them. That's what matters. You're putting wins on
Yeah.
the board. Lions whooped up on the Browns 34-10, and the Ravens took a pretty bad beating from Kansas City. And then to add insult to injury, the game's pretty much over. And then you get a notification that Lamar Jackson has a hamstring injury. Hopefully, nothing too serious there. Sucks.
Not
Not
good for my fantasy team. I took
not
an L
positive to
too.
see. Yeah.
I took an L mainly because of Lamar. But
Oh man, I mean, you want to talk about not playing defense? My fantasy team is atrocious. But that's I guess we got to look inward, got to reflect, got to be where our feet are. It starts with me, and all we can do is get on to next week. So we're gonna feel these feelings today, hit the tape tomorrow, and
Chiefs look like the Chiefs today.
yeah, they're back. They're back. Something clicked in the second half of that Giants
Yeah.
game. They're back. Let's wrap this thing up, man. Frankly, I don't want to spend another second thinking about this game, which means I'm going to go listen to podcasts and sports talk radio for another 4 hours about it after I get off this call.
It's early. I still, like I said, I still like a lot. I don't know how much I could say defensively, positively, but I still think I still like a lot of what we got on offense. We've got to control the ball. We got to go back to the recipe that worked well for us last year. Keep the defense off the field, please, and then let them do their thing in spurts. But we've just got to get rid of this idea of that we're better than we are. This is a team that's got to grind, it's got to fight, it's got to have energy week in, week out if we're going to turn this into a double-digit win season.
Amen.
Yeah.
Love all of that. That's all I got. I'm out of energy. I used everything
Sounds
I had.
good.
Let's wrap this thing up. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thank you for another great week, everybody, and hail to the Commanders.